Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Small Business Edge Boot Camp for Women and Minority Business Owners. I'm Brian Moran, CEO of Small Business Edge, and this is week 4 of our boot camp, which means it's retail. And I am really excited for today's Small Business Spotlight, where we get to talk to a good friend of mine, Hannah Perry, the owner and founder of the Giggling Pig Art Studios with 2 locations in Connecticut and a thriving e-commerce business. And our expert today is none other than Ramon Ray, the indefatigable Ramon Ray, the founder and CEO of Smart Hustle Media, author of the Celebrity CEO best-selling book, international speaker, MC extraordinaire, and advisor to entrepreneurs and corporate marketers trying to reach the small to mid-sized business marketplace. So with that, I want to welcome to today's Small Business Spotlight, Ramon and Hannah. Welcome, guys.
Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure. So a little bit of backstory. So for our viewers, I actually got the chance to meet Hannah at Ramon's conference in New York City. I like to think of that as kismet. Back in 2016, I was speaking at your conference, Ramon. Hannah, you were in the audience. And then Hannah and I talked after, and the 3 of us have had a really beautiful friendship for the past 4 years. And so this is a real treat. All right, let's get into it too. Hannah, so you're on the hot seat right now for Small Business Spotlight. Tell us what's happening at the Giggling Pig.
Well, currently right now, things have really changed for the Giggling Pig this year. We were just doing mainly in-studio classes. We did travel a little bit here and there, but now we're very, very busy with our virtual schedule. So we're doing virtual classes 2 to 3 times a day on top of our classes that we're holding in studio. But we are seeing some challenges, but we're still in business in both locations, and the online business has definitely grown this year too, which is fantastic.
How hard was it to pivot your business, and what did you learn early on when COVID struck and you realized that there was going to be a lockdown?
Well, in the beginning, we definitely thought it was just going to be for a couple of weeks, just like everybody. But I had already kind of been planning on having a YouTube station. So I never really sit still. I'm always kind of thinking ahead and what else could I be doing? So I'd already started to make videos for art kits that I was selling, as you know about the art kits with the mailing company. And so I made the decision, I think 2 days in, like, okay, let's start doing some free classes online. The feedback was amazing. We got, I think it was something like close to 1,000 shares of this one post.
Wow.
And on the first video that we did, I believe we got 10,000 people watching.
Wow.
So it was, we realized then there was going to be this big excitement over it. So we continued to do it. But then the numbers kind of dropped down pretty quickly. You would get like 1,000 viewing because of the school schedule kind of got set up. But we learned a lot from doing the live videos. We learned what people really were looking for, even down to camera angles. So I invested into a system that had the above view and the front view and the logo on the screen, and I did all that. So I learned really quickly. I tend to do that, like I tend to take feedback really fast. I don't just sit on it. And I try and make my decisions really quickly too, instead of holding off, which was great for COVID because we were able to jump on that.
Great. Ramon, why don't you, as our resident expert, weigh in and what do you think of Hannah's strategy for 2020?
Yeah, sure. I think it's powerful. I think, and Brian, again, thank you for having me here. It's always good to hang out with you, Brian. And thank you for the work you do to support business owners and entrepreneurs. Hannah, always good to hang with the ballers to ballers. So thank you, Hannah. It's always good being with you. I think, listen, a few things that I think when I think of Hannah Perry, and I think also, Brian, what we can learn for your audience overall. I think one, it's the power of the entrepreneur, the business owner. We are all small businesses. None of us are huge yet billion-dollar companies. Hannah will be, and you and I will be working for Hannah and driving
Yes.
But until she gets there, none of us are big brands. And so I think it shows, and I hope those listening understand, it's the power of us. And I think that's one. Hannah, I think, also exemplifies and shows persistence. That's one that's very important. And I think the power of creativity, no pun intended, not creativity as far as her art boxes, but creativity. Okay, this is not working. What do I do? There's a roadblock here. Oh, that looks like a springboard to me to jump up to the next place. So I think that's when I think of Hannah, that aspect of creativity and don't stop. And I think the third thing I think that's amazing is the power of digital content, Brian and Hannah. Again, everybody can't do this. It may not be for every business, but I think most, we all, as I say in my talks, Brian, turning into publishers. And I think that's what Hannah's doing, where I can see in a tongue-in-cheek way, in a metaphorical way, the art boxes become secondary, and Hannah starts to embrace more. She's a publisher. She's a content producer. She's getting into video cameras and all that. And the last point, Brian, my book, Celebrity CEO, this aspect of building community. So those are the four things when I think: the creativity, the perseverance, the aspect of being a publisher, and I think community building. When I think of Hannah's story, we're going to talk about over the next few minutes, that's what I'm seeing, Brian.
Yeah, Hannah, you really have done a fabulous job of that community building that Ramon talks about. I remember when you were putting your art boxes together, didn't you have a little, like a slip inside each one that said, use this hashtag when you post your child's picture on Instagram?
Right.
Tell us that story and what was the
Yes.
thinking behind that?
So we were, in the beginning, when I was first doing the art boxes, we were getting everyone to post pictures with their art boxes. And we were even posting pictures of mailing them out, because then that we would say which part of the country they were going to. And sometimes they were going to other countries also. So that kind of built curiosity. Definitely. People were really interested in, what is this and how do I get one? I've seen right now, I built a new website, a merchandise website. And I didn't realize how powerful that was going to be, because now I have all my art boxes on there. And I'm making sales on that site daily, as well as my regular Giggling Pig site. So the art boxes have really become their own business. I've definitely noticed that. And now from this winter, I'm seeing like how even further I could be taking it. So it's amazing.
Yeah, there's actually a funny story about the origination of your art boxes, right? I think it was probably 2-3 years ago, when Pitney Bowes and Sempro Online, who is the sponsor of our retail week, we were looking for a small business retailer to showcase for e-commerce. And you said, and this is what I love about you, Hannah, you said, I'll do it. You said, yeah, what does it take? And you hadn't done any kind of e-commerce, I think, right? To that point.
Right. I think I do that a lot. I Google it afterwards. Like, how do I do this? What did I just get myself into?
Right.
You and I are in the same. It's funny you say that. But I think, Brian, this goes back to, we're talking about a lot on the show, but this goes back to the power of creativity. And I'm sure Hannah has fallen on her face a few times, once out of 5 times or 10 times. But that's people like us, which I get, because I'm a similar way. We're the one in class, like the teacher says, how many want $1? All the other students are looking around. Oh, she said, who wants $1? Hannah's like, already, I mean,
standing next to the teacher. Yeah.
I think that's a trait of entrepreneurs, though. I just did this whole thing for a junior achievement at high schools. And we were asked to talk about different traits of an entrepreneur. And it wasn't until after I had kind of put this video together that I realized that I was always that person that would say I want to do it, and then afterwards figure out how to get there, because I didn't really know. But
well, yeah, but and I will say this, Hannah, and I've said this from the moment I met you. You must have a team of guardian angels that sit right behind you, because it's like everything that you touch. And this is a rare quality, but I feel like almost everything you touch turns to gold. So when you said, I want to do these art boxes and I want to send them out. So we got Pitney Bowes and Sempro Online involved, and you said, and you ordered 100 boxes, and you said, I would love to ship 100 of these boxes in the summer. Yeah. And you wound up shipping like 400.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it was incredible. You actually
just during COVID, I think I did 2,500 just in that first few months,
which is incredible.
Yeah.
And you had the wherewithal of setting up your e-commerce a couple of years ago, so you knew exactly
Yeah.
what to do, and how beneficial that was to your business. So do me a favor, tell us a little bit about some of the challenges that you're facing now. I know you and I have talked offline about wanting to grow your merchandise, or how do you keep moving forward in a pandemic, or even knowing when to take a break. So
Yeah.
let's pick something that you have in front of you right now that's an obstacle, and let's see if we can get Ramon to offer you some of his worldly wisdom.
Okay, so I want to grow my merchandise line because I'm seeing, enormous value in that. And it's, I do all my own research, I outsource. How do you figure out what are the best products? I mean, I know research, but I mean, you have to order such quantities of things that it's like I invest my money. I don't take on bank loans, and so it's all mine that goes into it. So I try not to mess up too much. How do you really figure out what is the best overall group of things to purchase?
Yeah, it's a tough question. Thank you, Brian. I think that for me, Hannah, who would I be to answer that kind of specific question here? But I'm going to try. And here's what I would say is that sometimes I'll give a different angle to this. Yes, there's stats and SEO, no matter what shopping platform you're using. For those especially listening, you can look at that, and over a period of time, like I think it's like an accountant, Brian. This is more your cup of tea, but like accountants, they say no afterwards. Do they know the history, as it were, something like that? I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what I'm trying to say. So the point being is that you can look at your data to understand that. But Hannah, sometimes also your community doesn't know what they want. Sometimes you have to feed it to them. For example, we all three here have different styles and how God's made us the way we are. So if you asked your community, do you all want, I don't know, the red cup or the black cup, whatever it was, whatever the silly example I'm trying to make here is, they may say the black cup, they may say the red cup, they may not know. But when Hannah starts marketing it, when she starts announcing it, I think that may turn the tide and you're selling people they didn't want. I take a look at our mutual friend, Seth Godin. I don't think Seth asked people how many want a 25-pound book. Nobody wants it, but it's a bestseller. So if that's helpful, Hannah, that's one thing I would say. And two, I'll add to that. You didn't ask this particular question, but just one thing came to mind, and I'm sure you're doing it, but to help others, influencer marketing. My wife has a big Instagram feed of mommies and et cetera, et cetera. So I think finding an army of those for like, oh, I just opened Hannah's box and used it. You have to measure it, but that could be another way to get more people talking in a bigger scale about the Giggling Pig.
Right.
Those are great points.
Yeah. And I've looked into the influencer marketing also. And I think it can be a bit of hit or miss, but I guess that's just like anything in business. If you're passionate about it, you have to give it a go and see what works.
Well, a couple of things. Ramon's advice is great, by the way, 100% dead on. I think it was, who was it? Ford, who said, if I asked customers what they wanted when he invented the car, he said they would have told me a faster horse. Right. So sometimes, and Steve Jobs is a big believer in that, in terms of telling people what they want instead of asking them what they want.
Right.
But that's really kind of that's kind of like that rarefied air of introducing innovation to a market. I don't know if that's what you want to do, or that's what you're trying to do in terms of your products. So a couple of ideas. One is prove the concept. So you have four figures behind you, right? I'm sure four toys with or whatever with names, and you almost want to do. You might consider doing some pre-testing, and so you introduce those four, and you say, "Here's Lucy and Ernie and Skylar and whatever."
And Ramoncito's there too.
Ramoncito, yeah, that's the pink one, Ramon. But you introduce them to you can almost create like a customer advisory council. Help us pick the next big character of the Giggling Pig. And
I like that.
Yeah. So Hannah, you have a really enthusiastic customer base. And I see that when you do like the hashtag art boxes on the go, I think it was, and all of the kids who post their pictures. So the idea that user reaction, where they can participate in deciding who the next great character is going to be, gets them involved, and it almost pre-sells your inventory. And so, okay, Lucy was the big winner, place your orders now and make sure you don't get, shut out when we order them, something to that effect. So you definitely want to take advantage of your advocates and your ambassadors. So when they get Lucy, they take a selfie with it and they post the hashtag that you told them to post when you sent them the product.
Right. Okay.
And Brian, let me add one more thing or two more things. One is a very bad idea, Hannah, which you should not do. You should reject instantaneously. And thank you, Brian, for what you said. I think two other things I will say, riffing off of Brian's point about who was the next character. Let's use your words. Are they called characters, Hannah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Who's the next character? Again, this is me. It may not be your style, but you get what I'm saying is that going back to you being a publisher, Trump or Biden, the world's confused on your politics. One thing we know for sure, the name of this black. So you get my point. If you want to, what it call shtick, or Forbes has their list, Inc. has their list, the Giggling Pig, we have our list too. So that's one idea.
Second, that's a good idea.
I like that.
Well, Brian had the original one. I just built upon it. So, and then the second thing is that this is the bad idea, is that the end goal is to be in front of Fox, MSNBC, CNBC, CNN, these big places with a big, giant, giggling pig characters as the anchors come in. So the idea would be before that, don't quite ask permission because you don't want them to say, we told you no, lady. But get intelligence, bring a bunch of donuts or stuff to those security guys, those guys who are always at the desk. Hi, ma'am, give me your ID. Go to them and say, what time do these XYZ famous anchors come? 3 a.m. often, 4 a.m., whatever it is. Then you and your team, your ladies, I know some of them, right? Bring some oversized stuff and just kind of something to get attention in the morning. Maybe you're giving out boxes to 2 or 4 of the anchors as they're coming in. I bet there's an 80% chance you may be on TV that day.
All right. I will try that. I will.
Yeah, that's great. Great advice. So Hannah, let me ask you, how are things shaping up for the holidays? We're right at the beginning of the holiday season. For most small business owners, the big stores cheated and they started in October, but Amazon. But how do things look for you in terms of the holiday, expectations that you had?
Things are definitely different this year. We're usually hosting a lot of corporate events and all kinds of holiday parties for rewards for their staff and things like that. So we're not doing hardly any of that this year. We're doing really well on our sales, on our merchandise and boxes and classes, that kind of thing. But we have 2 shops in totally different areas, and our big location that Ramon's visited, you've both visited that actually. Is fine. It's working really well. But our other location is in a totally different, the demographics are totally different. They're all very homeschooling and are not leaving their home so much. And so trying to figure out 2 different ways to market the same things is really, it's time consuming. So I'm kind of torn right now what I should be doing in the other location. So I'm definitely having that challenge because it's different, but we are, like I said, we're still doing a lot of online sales and over the phone sales, even if we're not that busy in the studio.
Yeah, it's like running 2 different companies.
Yeah, they're totally different.
Yeah. So one other thing that you asked, and Ramon, if you want to interject, feel free. But one other thing that we talked about, some of the challenges that you face because COVID has been so draining and demanding, and you're really in uncharted territory, and so you can't rely on what the last 4 or 5 years have told you about what to expect in October, November, December, right? It's really about planning like from square one. So one of the challenges is, how do I avoid burnout? Like we talked about this, right? So when is it okay to take a break, or when is it okay to just walk away from a project? And Ramon, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that to help Hannah, who is probably working 24/7 right now, and giving her that hour to get her beauty rest.
Yeah, I just again applaud, and hand out to Hannah needs us to do it, but I applaud Hannah and the others like Hannah who are listening to us, who just have this beast mentality. And Hannah knows I say it honorably, this beast and mentality that keep going. And I'm sure Hannah cries. I'm sure she has down moments. As humans, I'm just being realistic, especially not for us three, but those listening, this happens. I cry. I get frustrated. Me and my wife fight. The kids do this. So I think we all as humans go through that. But I applaud Hannah, the spirit of perseverance. And my advice, Hannah, for that would be, is I think two things. And this is one thing that helps me. Well, two and a half things. One, do you have that one, and it could be Brian, I'm not sure, but do you have that one mentor or coach that you have a regular call with on a regular basis? You don't have to answer it. You can in a minute, but think about that. A regular coach. Two, is a mastermind group. Is there a group of people that you dial into every week, every month, and you can just cry, you can curse, you can do whatever. You don't have to have your hair done. These are just your girls or your guys that you can just be there for you. And they're kind of peers. You know, they're there's a people who not necessarily see you as somebody, oh, Hannah's here, great. Yeah, thank you. You want people who you can, not also though, you don't want to just look up to them, but you get what I mean. Peers, me and Brian, right? We can iron sharpen each other. So I think that's two. And then three, Hannah, you have to force yourself. You have to say, it's 9 o'clock. I've been working all day. I am going to watch a stupid Netflix movie and drink a bottle of Coke for 2 hours. I may come back downstairs around the corner. So those are 2.5, 3 things I'd say. Mentorship, a coach, and Hannah, you have to just force yourself, get a clock, tell your family, give them $100 if you don't take a break or something to force yourself to do that, because you deserve it. And you'll burn yourself out, as Brian said.
Yeah. I was definitely getting burned out this year. And I think that was around the time when I was getting quite under the weather that I actually reached out to, I think, Ramon, you were my first call. Brian, I called you. I checked in with people, and just people that I admire and look up to, just to say, hey, this is what's happening in business. Do you have any advice? Or even not any advice. It was just really to just say hi. And then, I actually made a decision earlier this last month that for the first time in 10 years, I am closing my studio for 1 week from Christmas Eve to New Year's Day. I haven't closed my studio in 10 years. We are usually open 7 days a week, and I work 7 days a week in some capacity. So I decided that what COVID taught me was that we can be really closed for months and still survive. And I might not make the numbers, but I think this year I've been okay with that once I came to terms with it. So I realized that my son's 19, my daughter's 9. I might not get another Christmas with them both around the fire. And, you never know, my son might be off next year with his girlfriend or something. So I took the week off, and I'm really excited to just be with the kids and spend some alone time with them.
Good.
That's great. That really is. Ramon, I see you do those videos online. You're doing your Bible study, you're eating your apple, your burnt pancakes, and then you take your morning walk. And, I'm watching it, of course, from my desk, having done none of that. So it's you serve as a constant reminder, though, that it's so important to take that break. Yeah. And I'll do it I'll set an alarm on my phone 50 minutes after the hour, and it will go off, and it's like Pavlov's dog. I get up, I go outside, I breathe the fresh air. Hopefully it's not raining on me, and I stretch and I do all that. And I realize that I am best in short bursts of energy, 30 minutes. I can give it my all. And then I just have to stop, and I have to let myself recharge my battery, clean out the mechanism in my head before I get ready for the next project. And for years, though, I tried to power through all of that. And I know, Hannah, that you are like that as well. And I so appreciated that call, Hannah, a couple of months ago from you. And that's what said to me, okay, when I do this boot camp for women and minority business owners, I 100% am having you on. Because you are incredibly successful, but you also face a lot of the same challenges and obstacles that other women and minority business owners face. We talked as if you're just, a business owner, a small business retailer, but you really are, you're like the bar that people should look at when they try and think of, where do I want to be? Where's the, because you take chances, but you're smart, right? You work hard, but you're smart.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, I think it's
Making me blush.
All right.
I'm blushing well, Hannah, but mine is it's disguised.
Yeah. So Ramon owes me $20 because he said I wouldn't be able to make you blush on the spotlight.
Funny.
But I want to underline, I do want to just add that also, thank you, Brian, what you said, but Hannah, do answer it if you don't mind. Do you have a regular mastermind group that you're part of, since we're diving in deeper and helping each other?
Not really. I speak to, Beth. Beth's always my to-go-to person I reach out to, and you guys. And then I have my best friends who one of them is my employees. So we're able to kind of talk about work, but I can be more relaxed, and discuss other things also. But I don't have so much of a group.
Yeah, and my suggestion is, again, Brian, I'd be curious what you think, because you advise people on this as well, and probably this a bit more is your area. But I don't, whether it's a friend is good, people you can call. Me, Brian, anybody is good. People, as it were, associates. But I found that I've only been doing this about a year. There's a group of 5 men who we have regular calls on Monday. Nobody here knows any of them. And it's not even about business. It's about something else in life. But the point is that just something I find refreshing is that, you can, and it could happen to me and Brian. I'm not saying it doesn't have to be, but for Hannah, that she's comfortable with, that on a regular basis. And there's groups that you have to pay money to, right, Brian? $10,000 a year, $30,000 a year, $50,000, whatever it is, or it's not. But I recommend, Hannah, that I know I find it when I cry, when I feel the most frustrated. These are 5 guys, some that you may know, some who have nice sized companies, but it's confidential. We 5, we get together and talk about personal stuff of life. And it helps me. It helps me every Monday at 10 a.m. So
that's great.
I 100% agree with Ramon, and that happens a lot. So that's why I try and go before him. But you absolutely need a board of advisors.
Right.
And if you want to include Ramon and me, we charge a minimal amount of money,
Yeah.
but we do ask for, some of those toys that you have in the background. So we can put them.
I'll box you up some kits.
But you should 100% have a board of advisors that you go to, and that you can, and it could be fellow business owners. It could be fellow business owners in your area.
Yes.
And you say, once a week, once a month, we're going to get together for a virtual breakfast.
That's right.
And we're going to talk about it's with an understanding that what you talk about stays within your group. But here are some of the struggles we're having, or here's an opportunity that I'm having. And so people who know your business, who know your area, of where you live, and they'll say, you want to open a new location? That's a horrible spot. I know somebody who opened a location there, and here are the things that you're going to run into 6 months down the road. Could be zoning, could be the demographics, whatever. But if you have that board of advisors, and hopefully it's somebody with a legal background, someone with a financial or a tech background, who can address some of the areas of your business where you're not your strongest. You say, okay, here are the pros and cons of me as a leader of my company. I'm really good at, branding, marketing, social media. My weaknesses are technology, financial, accounting, whatever. And say, so I need a board of advisors to help me in this area. And maybe it could be, something else that we're not thinking of, going global, dealing with employees, whatever, corporate culture.
And Brian, if I could, I just want to add to that, Brian. I think that this is important, Brian, because I think sometimes people see us who are in camera and all this, that we have it all together. Now, some of us, if I could speak for Brian to a degree, as influencers, people who are out, I'm not going to wear my life if I just had a fight with my wife on my sleeve. It's not professional, not going to do it. But I also want to add, we don't know everything. So like you mentioned, Brian, I'll wear the hat that I'm pretty darn good at marketing. It's a skill I've been blessed with, how to market and navigate, create. I'm a very creative person. Technology, I've been doing that for years, but I'm not good financially. I don't know. I know some numbers, but it's not my strength, Brian. It's a weak area, which I know you're stronger in that. Also being more strategic, thinking high level, weeds and clouds. I got that from you, Brian. That's your gift. It's not my thing. I can do something. I've started 4 companies, but my skill is marketing. Other thing, I need help, and I'm not a systems guy. It's not my gift.
So that's a great takeaway, Hannah. And that's something that I would start to investigate now, because you know what a board of advisors does? it holds you accountable. So it says, okay, where's your plan for 2021? Where do you want to be at the end of the year? And that's usually like a revenue number or maybe product introductions or something like that. And then they say, okay, well, let's build out month by month. And so it forces you to do the things that you don't want to do. And that's the biggest Achilles heel with almost every small business owner and entrepreneur, is that they avoid the things that they don't like to do.
Right.
And that's where a board of advisors, especially in COVID, can really help you, because you have so many questions. You can't say, okay, well, I did this in 2017, 2018, 2019, so it should be applicable this year.
Right.
So get those people who can see the things and hear the things that you don't hear and see, and that can question you on how you plan to get from, wow, that's a pretty big number that you have by June 30th. Justify that. Show me how you plan to get there. And
right.
if you miss your number, the beauty is with a board of advisors and people holding you accountable, if you miss your number, you'll miss it by an inch and not by a mile.
Right.
So I think that's really probably, of all of the good takeaways that we've had today, I would hope that that's something that you take and you.
Yeah, I definitely will. I'll look into finding a group for sure. Thank you.
Awesome. And you know what? And by the way, Ramon, I forgot to tell you, I do know everything. I'm kidding.
Me, you do, Brian.
I'm kidding. Just to my family. I'm a Mr. Know-it-all.
I know.
Okay, Hannah. Well, we're in the home stretch of our small business spotlight. This has been truly fantastic. And I love hearing your story and I love sharing your story. If people are going to watch this and they say, you know what, I love those characters behind Hannah, I definitely want to get those as Christmas presents, where do I get them?
You get them on thegigglingpigmarket.com. And I can give a code to your viewers,
okay,
which ended, but I can recreate it for you. And they could just type in your name, Brian Moran, into the code, and they'll be able to get buy one, get one free of the plush.
That's awesome.
So amazing.
Wow.
And Brian, can I add something here? It's a small, tiny thing. But if you're listening to this video and you have small children who you think would love to do art projects or be creative and hang out with Hannah, if you get in contact with me somehow, Ramon@smartest.com, whatever it is, go through Brian. On behalf of Brian, we will send you one of Hannah's art boxes. So
I love that. So let's send out some art boxes. And Hannah, I'll talk to you about this. I have another spotlight coming up, and I'm going to order some art boxes from you to give to their students, which I think they will love. So we'll talk about that.
Okay.
And you know what? Let's throw it out there while we're in the gift giving mood. Respond to this small business spotlight. Tell me what your biggest takeaways, I'm talking to our viewers, tell me what your biggest takeaway from today's spotlight is, and we'll send you a gift in the mail, an art box or one of Hannah's characters. And thanks to Pitney Bowes Send Pro Online, we'll be able to save some time and money when we send it to you.
Yeah.
Yay, we love that. Thank you, Send Pro Online. So Hannah, this is fantastic. You're one of my favorite entrepreneurs.
Thank you for having me on and helping. Thank you, Ramon.
Absolutely. Ramon, I can't thank you enough. I love working with you. I love collaborating with you. I always learn something when we talk. So, and I hope the same is true for our viewers. Again, I want to thank Pitney Bowes Send Pro Online for sponsoring the entire Retail Week. They are a small business owner's best friend, especially someone like Hannah, who's got to send out a lot of boxes quickly. And she wants to make sure that she's getting the best rate and they can pick it up right from her store. So thank you, Send Pro Online. And with that, to our viewers, you know where to reach me, Brian@smallbusinessedge.com, or you can find me on Twitter, or you can find me on my website. Give us your feedback, send us your questions, give us your takeaways, and we'll send you something. All right. Thank you both.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for being so inspiring.
It was a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing you both again in person
Yes,
sooner rather
hopefully.
than later.
Yes. Thanks, Ramon. I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
All right.